Hello and welcome to Audio Jonopedia number 40. This is John. Hopefully everybody recognizes my voice by now. It is June 6th, 2014, and I'm here today to do a little show about the World Cup. It's coming up in 6 days, and I'll just say it's the greatest event ever in the history of the world. So we're going to go ahead and preview what's going on with the World Cup. And I do have a special guest here for you, so don't worry, it's not going to just be me talking and imparting my expertise. Because while I am something of a soccer aficionado, somebody that really is on top of things across the board with soccer, I'm not the only one out there. So just for a second opinion, with somebody that some of you may be familiar with, his name is Nick. You may know him on Twitter by his Twitter handle. It is at FWBlues, B-L-U-E-S, fan, F-A-N. And I'll be honest, some people don't really listen to this show with regularity. My guess is some of you pulled it up one time, just wanted to hear my voice. Well, now you get a chance to do that with old Nicky boy here. Nick's actually sitting right by me, hasn't said anything, because I want to build up a little bit of suspense, a lot of drama. A lot of people just want to hear exactly what he sounds like. So before he starts talking, I want everybody to imagine what you think he sounds like. Do you think he has a high voice, a low voice, similar to mine, different from mine? Do you think his name's actually Nick? Do you think he's actually female? I don't know. Nick, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good, John. Thanks for having me on.
Wow,
here.
you are yelling.
I'm just trying to make sure they hear my voice. You gave it kind of a shout out there, so
yeah,
they need to know what it sounds like.
Fair point. This is actually the first one of these that we've recorded where the two people are actually together. I mean, whenever we've had the ones on the Hangouts, it's been me and somebody else and maybe a third person. We're all in different quarters, but this time we're sitting a few feet apart from each other talking on the same microphone, so hopefully everybody can hear this, and if not, well, we have just wasted a lot of your time. But we're not here to waste your time. We're here to talk about the World Cup. The name of this show is The Insider's Guide to the 2014 World Cup. Both Nick and I have studied intensely about the World Cup, our predictions, what we think is going to happen. Now, first of all, just to get a rule out of the way, and we've discussed this already, but just to be very clear about something, we're going to refer to this as soccer rather than football. And the reason we're going to do this is because although, I mean, the two of us, would you agree or disagree, we're really purists about the sport. We truly love the beautiful game, its nuances, its subtleties. We aren't just people jumping on willy-nilly because this is the World Cup. This is our lives. You would agree with that, correct?
That's correct. This is all I follow.
Well,
you obviously know that from my Twitter account. By the way, thanks for the shout-out from my Twitter account. It needs some more followers, so if you don't follow me,
well, we both need more followers.
Give me a follow.
I mean, my hope is that this gets viral and that I think I'm at like 300 something. I mean,
I'm not even at 200, John.
Well,
so.
I've had Twitter longer than you, and I've tweeted way more than you. I should have more than you. I should have more than I do. But that's up to the invisible hand that rules Twitter to determine. But as I said, we're big soccer fans, and we like other sports. We enjoy football, baseball, basketball, iced hockey.
Now you mentioned football. Why?
American football, I apologize.
Okay, because I've heard soccer being referred to as football before. What are your...
And a lot of people refer to it as football, and I get that, and I refer to it as football as well. As you may know, the sport that Americans call soccer is referred to as football everywhere in the world other than basically the United States, Canada, Ireland, sometimes Australia, and every country that doesn't speak English. But that's a minority of the world, obviously.
Are you sure about that? Because that sounds like a lot of countries.
That's like, how many countries is that? That's like, what, 5 countries that don't speak English? I mean,
that's true, yeah. There's not many.
Yeah, there's like 1 million countries in the world. You can't, let's not get bogged down in that, though. Okay. But anyway, we're going to refer to it as soccer because we want to impart our knowledge towards the common man. That may sound condescending to some, but some people aren't big fans. We are big fans, and we're here to teach you. And we're here to teach you things such as the countries playing in the World Cup and the sport which is being played in the World Cup, which, as we've discussed, is known many places as football, but for the sake of this discussion will be known henceforth as soccer. Ready to roll?
Let's do this.
Okay. Now, the World Cup, which begins, as we mentioned, in 6 days, and is, as we've established, several times, a competition of soccer includes 32 teams. One of those teams is in Group A, and that team is known as Brazil. Now, Brazil is actually the host of the World Cup. I'm not sure if you knew that. Did you know that?
I knew that, but I didn't learn it very long ago.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's really an insider sort of trick, and that's what we're here to do, is establish the information. But the World Cup does take place in Brazil, and the Brazilian soccer team, fortunately, will be participating in the World Cup. The big storyline that people are wondering about with this Brazil team, though, is, let's put it this way, in 1994, the United States hosted the World Cup. Most attended World Cup in history, led to the creation of Major League Soccer, made soccer a big sport in the United States. Maybe not as big as we'd like it to be, but a pretty big sport nonetheless. Do you believe, Nick, that with the 2014 World Cup coming to Brazil, that Brazilians will start caring about soccer?
I think it will if they make a run. I mean, I know basketball is their #1 sport.
Yes, definitely.
They always are playing the U.S. in the Olympics in basketball and always seeming to give them trouble. So that just makes me think that basketball is their #1. Soccer, I mean, they got to make a run. Are they good enough to make a run?
That's going to be a tough one to determine. I mean, obviously, Brazil definitely best known for their basketball. Brazil's soccer team actually does have a player named Anderson, which I'm hoping will help to bring in some of the basketball hardcores, because Anderson Varejão is like the national icon.
That's their #1 guy there.
Yeah, I mean,
he would.
What America would say maybe have LeBron James or maybe Tiger Woods a few years ago. Anderson Varejão, you can't go anywhere in Brazil without hearing people talking about Anderson Varejão wearing those throwback Cavs uniforms.
I mean, he's their guy. He's the one that everybody knows. He's the role model. He's the guy. Everybody in Brazil's got his jersey.
I'm hoping he'll be at the ceremony to start the World Cup, because that would really get people excited. I mean, they've had soccer teams in the past, but it doesn't quite move the needle quite like Varejão does. But anyway, I think, though, looking at Brazil, looking at the teams that are in Brazil's group, it's Brazil, Croatia, Mexico, and Cameroon.
By the way, Mexico owes us, you know that.
What, because of how they got their independence? Or?
That's part of it. Without that, they wouldn't even be a country, but that's not what I was talking about. I mean, without us...
Without us, me and you?
The United States of America.
Oh, okay.
Without the United States, they would not be in this thing, because we won a match on the pitch. I don't remember who we beat.
Well, I mean, these are matches a long time ago. Qualification for the World Cup began in 1987. So, I mean, I wasn't even alive in 1987, for instance. It's
been a long time.
It's tough to keep track of these things. It really is. But so what you're saying, though, is that Mexico made the World Cup as a result of the United States and winning a football match out on the pitch, as they say.
Correct. And I'm sure several people in the United States will make sure Mexicans know that.
Just so that they'll be appreciative.
Yeah, because I think if Mexico wins the whole thing, that the United States deserves some, like, maybe half of a title or something.
You see, it might be one of those things, like whenever there's a World Series, like, for instance, Arthur Rhodes in 2011 was going to win a World Series ring, whether the Cardinals or the Rangers had won the World Series. You think the United States gets at least, like, half of a...
I think they should get that. And, I mean, they should have... That means they get 2 teams in this thing. That gives them double the odds of winning it, correct? That's a pretty good situation to be in.
You said double the odds. I'm just trying to do the math here. So there's
one United States.
Was there like 40 teams in the World Cup, or how many is there?
You said there were 32.
32. That's it. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. 32. Okay. So that's one team.
I think 40. You're thinking of the basketball tournament. We're not experts on that, John.
I was thinking basketball because of Brazil, but yeah. Okay. So one team out of 32 is the United States. 2 teams is the United States plus Mexico, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's about double. I mean,
it's tough math.
It's not, it may not quite be double, but it's close. I'll give it to you. Maybe a rounding error here or there, but yeah, that's fine. So the question, though, out of Group A, who do you have advancing out of the group?
I have Brazil winning it.
Okay.
And I have Croatia as the other team to advance.
So the United States will effectively be eliminated from half of their chances because Mexico's going to lose the group to Brazil and Croatia.
That's correct, but Just wait for the U.S.'s group. I got some surprises there.
I'm pretty excited about that. Well, I have Brazil winning the group. I think that the home field advantage is really going to be a home pitch advantage. I apologize. Home field advantage is really sort of an American term used to describe American football, occasionally baseball, but this is the beautiful game we're talking about.
What is it called for iced hockey?
Ice hockey is home icing advantage, I believe.
Okay.
It's stuff they put on cakes.
Icing is good.
I enjoy icing. What's your favorite type of icing? What's your favorite flavor?
You know, I'm a big vanilla. I'm the simple vanilla guy. I'm not a big fan of chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate kind of shows off a little bit. What about other like strawberry types?
I like strawberry. I'll eat lemon. I'll eat some of those.
Yeah. Cake or pie? Let's get that out of the way.
That's a tough one. I gotta go cake though.
It's one of those weird things. Like I always remember thinking of cake as being like a higher echelon of snack food whenever I was growing up, and then for some reason a lot of people on the internet seem to really be behind pie. And I don't mind pie, but I think I'd have to go with cake. By the way, you're listening to the Insider's Guide to the 2014 World Cup on Audio Jonopedia. Anyway, though, we actually disagree on our second team. I have Mexico. I think Mexico is going to get out of the group, and they'll finish second in the group, and they will advance to the what's it called? The 16-team round. It's
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Yes, I apologize. Like again, I pride myself on being an expert in soccer, but I get a little nervous sometimes talking in front of crowds. Granted, I'm only talking with Nick here, but I realize that there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly billions of people listening. I mean, there's 700 billion people in the world, so it's entirely possible.
And soccer is the most popular sport in the world.
People forget that, but yeah, soccer is the most popular sport in the world. It's important to keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm going with Brazil. I'm going with Mexico. You're going with Brazil. You're going with Croatia.
Correct. But I do like yours now because that means the United States has a better chance of winning this thing.
But again, we're not going at this trying to think of who we want to win. We're professionals here, and we're
That's
going
a good point.
to make sure that our picks are the picks that are going to win, not just who we want. If it's who we wanted, we would have ourselves forming our own team and winning the World Cup. By the way, do you think we could do that?
We have to find, what is it, 7 other guys? Is it nine people team?
I think it's more than that. I think it's like 20 or 30, but I think you could have like a minimum number of people.
How many do you start then? There's no way you start 20 people at a time.
Oh, you start like 18.
I know that field is huge, but the pitch, my mistake.
You start about 18, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 18. We
have to find 16 other guys then. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Hopefully, with the popularity of this specific episode, people will embrace the beautiful game and will get into playing it. And we can find those 16 other guys. Do we have to form our own country, or can we just become the United States team? Do we know how that works?
I mean, does the Vatican have a team? Because they're a country.
I don't know, because, I mean, there aren't really childbirths in the Vatican, so it'd be kind of tough from an eligibility standpoint.
I think we can get around that. There's got to be ways.
Do we have any kind of, is there like a birthright sort of thing? Like if you're baptized, then you can be part of...
It's got to live there for a few years.
Okay, so one of us has to become a cardinal then?
That's going to be a little tougher to do, because I'm not ordained.
We guess I'm going to be a nun. Is that easier or is that tougher? I don't know.
That sounds a little tougher.
Okay, we're getting a little too wonky with our soccer here, so let's move on to Group B. Group B, we have, what do you know? There's 4 teams in Group B in addition to the 4 teams in Group A.
Are there 4 teams in every group? Is this a coincidence?
I think there are 4 teams in each group. I'm not sure if it's coincidence. I think it is.
I think we'll find out later on.
I think it's like one of those things like in college football where there's like, about 10 to 12 teams per conference. Some go a little over, some go a little under, but they're around the same median, that type of thing. Group B, though, we have Spain, the Netherlands, Chile, and Australia, sorry. So Spain, Netherlands, Chile, and Australia. what are your thoughts on this group as a whole? Do you think they are going to all play each other?
That I can guarantee you they will.
You're guaranteeing that.
One thing I do know as an expert.
Okay, we don't take guarantees lightly here. This isn't ESPN. We're not just going out on a limb here. You're guaranteeing.
I'm guaranteeing they play each other. I'm not going to guarantee everybody wins or loses those games because that's possible.
Well, that's just madness to predict that.
But I am going to guarantee they play each other. Now, I was saying as an expert of this fantastic, beautiful game that Spain won the 2010 World Cup. Did you know that? People forget that.
I did know that. I actually watched. I can't remember who they beat, but I do remember that Spain won the game.
I think it was a team in their group that they beat.
They beat Australia?
That's who I think it was, yeah. Australia made that Cinderella run that nobody expected.
Well, do you think that the question is if Australia is going to repeat, but the real question in this group is Spain, because as we mentioned, they are the defending champions. Recently, they had a bit of an interesting situation happen with their royal family. Their king, the Crimson, it's King something, I don't remember. King Solomon?
King Saul?
King George?
No, that's too English.
King Louis?
It could be that.
King
I
Louis.
think I'll go with that.
Okay, King Louis actually abdicated the throne. So at this point, there is no monarch in Spain. And the whole country is really descending into madness. We all know how important a monarch is in the 21st century.
Well, it comes to England's advantage every year in these things.
Yeah, and they've had a consistent presence as a monarch. Queen Elizabeth II has been the head of state of England for a while now.
I want to say it's close to 90 years.
That sounds...
She's pretty old.
Yeah, we'll say 90 years. I don't know. I was going to say it's about 5 or 6 years, probably somewhere in between. I'm not totally sure. It's probably 46 and a half years.
That sounds right.
Let's go with that. But anyway, England, they've had the same monarch for a while. Spain will have a new person in charge. And we don't know what kind of monarch this is going to be. We know that King Louis or whatever, King Louis, we know that he was something of a benevolent leader. For instance, Spain did not win the World Cup in 2006, even though he was the king.
Who did win that one?
2006.
Is it Switzerland?
I don't think so. Panama. Panama won 2006. And so what's going to happen, though, is... But he was very benevolent. He allowed them to continue to live. He didn't, to my knowledge, behead anybody. There was no guillotine. There was no hanging. No public flogging of any kind. But with a new guy in charge, we don't know what kind of monarch he's going to be. It's possible that if one of these Spaniards goes out and doesn't play well, off with his head. In theory, that's not going to affect the results, but it's a bit of a distraction, right?
That's got to be. He also could just disband the entire team. Just cut the national team. Put the funding somewhere else.
Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can move to Spain.
That's a good idea.
Live there for a few years and take over.
Do you know who got elected?
Got elected as Obama? Yeah, he got elected, but I don't think he's going to make us the national team. Oh, it's just move to Spain. Yeah, that's it. Okay, but we'll figure this out. Okay, so anyway, Spain, a little bit of a risk here. Looking through the other teams, you have Australia. That's all there is to say about them, defending runners-up.
It's going to be a good game, rematch, Spain-Australia.
A lot of intensity going to be going on with that match.
Those teams don't like each other. They're natural rivals. Being close in geography and everything.
Yeah, there's a little bit of separation there, but
there's a couple oceans, but that's never stopped anyone.
There's also a lot of military history. Spain and Australia have gotten into more than their share of wars. I don't think I need to go over all those. A lot of bloodshed. We don't really joke about that sort of thing here.
It's true.
As far as Chile, though, I'm pretty excited to see whether Chile or Greece goes further in the World Cup, because it's the two teams that I would say are the closest to being named after food. Chile, obviously, is a food very popular in the United States and other places. It consists of like beans, meat, different things like that. And Greece, while not technically a food, is used to make foods. ingredients. Which do you think which would you prefer to see make a run for the sake of food?
Well, can we first take care of another debate?
Yeah, what's up?
Do you like red chili or green chili? What do you prefer?
I think I'm gonna have to go with red chili.
I disagree. I'm a fan of green.
Well, you're wearing a green shirt right now. Obviously, you have your allegiances, on your sleeve here, quite literally.
Should we meet somewhere in the middle?
What's between red and green? I like the idea of a compromise because I do like both kinds of chili, but red versus green. Was it like pink? Is there a pink chili?
Is it blue chili? Blue? No.
Orange? We could take some red chili,
Mix them together?
we can mix them together,
That's probably a pretty good idea.
throw in some oranges. Sounds good to me.
I think we just created a new food.
It's kind of late at night, but I'm willing to head out to the store, get the ingredients, and fry up a batch. Speaking of frying things, because that is the way chili's made, there is grease, which is not really a food per se, but it's a ingredient of sorts in food, particularly in American cuisine. We enjoy our fried chickens, we enjoy our country fried steaks, our Frenched fries, freedom fries as they've been known from time to time.
We're going to get into France later. Let's hold off on them.
It's true. But I feel like it's worth discussing a few times because we are trying to make sure that we cover all elements of this World Cup. And I think Greece is a more American team to root for, just because Greece is representative of American food. Chili has like Cincinnati chili, which isn't really chili if you think about it.
Cincinnati chili is the worst.
It doesn't really classify as chili. It would be like, we mentioned pies before. It'd be like if I baked an apple pie, I was like, oh, here's a pizza I made. Well, it's not the least that it's like, but it's not that similar either. Now, which are you going to go with, chili or Greece? This is an important matchup here because they could meet at some point.
That's correct. I guarantee they play each other, but you're not taking that guarantee.
Well, they're
you
not.
don't seem so high on that, but I'm going to have to go with Greece.
Yeah, so Greece, who is not in Group B, we're going to say would beat Chile, who is in Group B, correct?
Greece is not in Group B. You just threw me off there, John.
No, they're not in Group B, but they're both food or food related.
That's true.
So we're good?
Yes.
All right. We just shook hands. We've settled our differences there. Now, I've actually never been to any of these countries in this group. Spain, Chile, Netherlands, or Australia. Have you been to any of these countries?
No.
Have you been to any of the countries from the previous group? Cameroon, Brazil, Croatia, Mexico?
Did you just throw Cameroon in there for a...
Yeah, they're in Group A.
I have not been to Cameroon or any other country in there.
Well, I'm not sure why you singled out Cameroon. You could have very easily been to Cameroon or Brazil or Croatia or whatever that other country was. It's possible, right?
That's true, but I have not been.
Okay. Because I know there's at least one of these countries that you lived in quite extensively, and we're going to talk a lot about that once we get to that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and make our picks. Who do you think is going to win Group B? And who do you think is going to finish in second place in Group B?
I went with Spain. I just think they're too strong. I think they're still so good from the last time they won it.
Interesting.
They'll defend it pretty well. And then I went with the Dutch.
The Dutch. That's
the Dutch.
Denmark?
No, that's the Netherlands, John.
Oh. So you have Spain winning and then the Netherlands instead of the defending runners-up, Australia?
Yeah, I just think they lost a lot of guys from their previous team.
It's true. So many guys.
I think a lot of them retired and went on to play basketball because basketball is also a big sport in Australia.
But it's no soccer, but yeah, it's popular. So that's a bit of an upset, though. But you know what? I had the exact same picks. I also picked the Netherlands to finish in second in that group over Australia and over Chile.
We're not a big fan of the fruit teams, are we?
Nah.
So far, they're 0 for 1.
Not in this capacity. We'll see once we get to Greece. I don't know when we're going to get to Greece. It really just it's hard to say. But we're going to both go with Spain and the Netherlands. Pretty excited about that. Speaking of Greece, they are in Group C. Group C consists of Greece, the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, as it's also known, Japan, and Colombia. What are your thoughts on the Colombia team? Do you think that they're offensively strong enough to win, or at least move out of group play?
I think we got to discuss something else with them before. I think they'd be the team we could easily take over if we want to join and get into the World Cup because they're in Missouri. Colombia is in Missouri, correct?
I thought they were in South Carolina. Because Steve Spurrier is their coach. They have the run and gun offense. They throw the ball a lot, which I'm not sure how they get away with it, but they seem to be able to. Because if you didn't know, just soccer insider information, you're actually not allowed to throw the ball in soccer.
Well, technically you are. If you're out of bounds, which doesn't make any sense.
Or if you're the goalie.
Why do you have the ball when you're out of bounds?
Or if you're the keeper. Look, there's a lot of mysteries to this beautiful game. That's part of why we enjoy it. We don't need easy answers to everything. Sometimes, a little complexity, not bad. Works out for me.
I mean, you got stoppage time, but that's a whole separate issue.
Oh, we'll get to stoppage time.
We'll get to that.
We have a lot to talk about stoppage time. Which, again, this is the Insider's Guide to the 2014 World Cup, so we're covering it all. We have everything you need to know about the World Cup. But as far as Colombia, I mean, I'm not sure, because I thought they were in South Carolina. You think they're in Missouri?
I know it's a Columbia, Missouri. I've been there.
Okay. You may not know this. I live one town away from Columbia, Illinois. Is it possible that they're out of Columbia, Illinois?
There's no such thing as Columbia, Illinois. You're lying.
Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure I've been to Columbia, Illinois. I'm pretty sure it's like if I get to the next bridge out of the state, which we're not going to talk about bridges. Okay, just to clarify, I've gotten tens of thousands of emails about bridges. A lot of people interested in hearing Nick and I discuss bridges. That's not this show. I love bridges, and I think I could speak for you and say you love bridges as well.
I'm their biggest fan.
Oh, 1 and 1A. I don't know. But regardless, we're obviously eventually going to start the Bridges podcast. But it's a finite number of episodes. There's only about a couple 100,000 bridges in the United States, and we will cover all of them. It's a different show. So we're going to leave it at that. But anyway, so there's not a Columbia, Illinois, you're saying?
Not that I've heard of.
Is there another Columbia somewhere between Missouri and South? Is there like a Columbia, Tennessee, maybe? A Columbia, Montana? Because Montana's between those two states as well. Is there a Columbia, Montana?
I was thinking Washington.
Columbia, Washington. Yeah, District of Columbia.
Because Columbus founded Washington. That's where he landed first, correct? Was Washington? That's why it's our capital.
Yes. Yeah, that's the state of Washington, which is in between Missouri and Columbia, and is the capital of the United States. Yes, okay. So I'm glad we've had a compromise. I'm glad that we're not getting too crazy here. Gotta make sure we keep our heads level.
Should we go back to soccer because we got a little off topic there?
I think we're pretty top there. We gotta make sure we know where the teams are located because that's part of what the show's about is knowing who the teams are in the World Cup.
And if you gotta know where they're located because that helps determine how much of a home pitch advantage they have.
True.
Colombia and being in Missouri is pretty far away from Brazil.
True. Columbia, Washington.
Now it's no Japan.
Columbia, Washington, a little bit closer. Yeah. Japan though, they're really far away. Japan, though, is a team that I really like because I have to say I'm a big fan of the Japanese flag. What are your thoughts on the Japanese flag?
I think it's pretty elite.
So you think it's an elite level flag? I think it's at least good. I'm not questioning that. But what steps do you think it's taken to go from being part of, say, the Hall of Very Good Flags to the Hall of Elite Flags?
The simplicity. Okay. Well, you can't get more simple than that.
The Japanese flag is the one with like it doesn't have a couple stripes, or is it? No, it's the circle, the red circle, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's a pretty good flag.
Yeah, how long do you think it took him to come up with that?
I think it's possible. Like, have you ever heard about how in Washington, like, supposedly whoever was designing Washington was drinking wine, and it spilled onto the map, and that's why there's a bunch of like traffic circles and stuff in Washington? I think that this same sort of thing happened with Japan. Somebody had a big bottle of wine, red wine, put it in the middle of the flag, and the bottom just fell out. And they saw
the rest is history.
So it's read down, and they're like, you know what?
I like it.
I'll do. That'll do. Do you think, is Japan as good as the flag of, say, Nepal, which is the only flag that is not a square or a rectangle? Or are they just going too far? Or is the proper answer Switzerland or the Vatican City, which is just a square?
No, Nepal is the most elite flag out there.
I agree with you. I just wanted to hear it from you. I don't want to be presumptuous. I am an expert on soccer just as you are. We are equally qualified. We may disagree sometimes, but we have equal qualifications. And that's what matters. So anyway, who do you think's going to win this group?
I have Colombia winning, even though they're in Washington and have a little bit of a travel.
Well, I just thought of this. I mean, that's another team we could root for because we have Mexico, where we get half of their World Cup.
Did we just triple our odds of winning this thing?
At least so. So we have
The U.S.,
the United
obviously.
States, we have Mexico, and we have Colombia, which is located in Washington, which is a state in the United States of America.
Anyway,
Alright.
the other team I have, you gotta check my bracket here. I actually have the Ivory Coast moving on. So even though Japan's flag was elite, it wasn't enough to get them to the next round.
Ivory Coast may not have an elite flag, but it's a solid name.
I was gonna say they're probably the most elite name in this tournament.
I mean, there are some good names, and obviously we're going to get to all of those. But yeah, I'm okay with those picks. I'm actually going to differ, though. I actually have Ivory Coast winning the group.
That's bold. That's a bold move.
Call me crazy. Sorry, I think you're going to call me crazy. Okay, but yeah, I think this is the Ivory Coast group to win, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Japan to finish second. I have Colombia, and God knows I want them to win because of their connections to the United States of America. I have them getting eliminated.
But you did pick Mexico, so you do have one United States team still alive, and I have one United States team still alive, so we're looking all right.
I'm rooting for both of us. I don't, as much as I would like for professional pride to be accurate, I'm a patriot. And as a patriot, I will be rooting for Colombia because they're an American team.
But remember, we're professionals,
Yes, it's
and
important.
we're not doing this for who we're rooting for.
We cannot eschew our professional duties for the sake of patriotism. That is not what this is about. This is about breaking down the beautiful game. This is about knowing the ins and outs. This is about not who we support, but who are the teams which will emerge victorious. You been to any of these countries?
No, I have not.
You haven't been to Colombia? Haven't been to Japan? Haven't been to Ivory Coast? Haven't been to Greece?
Oh, Greece! I forgot about Greece. I actually have been to Greece.
Oh, okay.
I was there for 3 days once.
Really? How
They are the nicest people you'll ever meet,
really? I've never met Greek people.
and I mean that sincerely. This is not a joke. They're
Well,
the
nothing
nice-
we say
that's-
here is a joke.
I'm not.
We're-
I mean,
Like, if you think this is a joke, you can just leave. I mean,
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that
the
we're
Greeks
not trying to make a joke this one time.
or any time for that matter. But this time, okay, I got you. What's so nice about the Greek? Are they
The Greek,
that's their?
the Greeks. This is plural, John.
Oh, are those like a deer sort of thing, where plural of deer is deer, or is it deers? It's deer. I'm pretty sure it's
I
deer.
think it's You got me on that one there.
Okay, but
Like first of all, they know you're American instantly. I don't know how. I guess we come off as very different people to them, and every time
better, you mean?
that's part of it.
Okay.
But anyway, they know that, and all they do is ask you questions, and they seem so interested in you.
What do they ask you?
That's
What kind of
fantastic.
questions do they ask you? Do they ask you about like soccer questions or?
They're not a big soccer country.
Oh,
Europe isn't really a big soccer continent.
I'm guessing that's why we're both picking them to not emerge out of this.
Exactly. They're the only team we had a consensus on not making it out.
There's only 2 alphabets in the entire world I know. I know the English alphabet, the Roman alphabet as it's also known, and I also know the Greek alphabet. I know it goes alpha, beta, omicron, Zelda, kappa.
Iota?
That's iota. Yeah.
Okay.
Lambda.
Zeta, and that's it. That's all they
Flacco.
need.
Flacco's the last letter.
Is Flacco elite?
It's probably the most elite letter. I would agree with that. But again, it's not about alphabets. It's about winning the football matches or soccer games. Sorry, I apologize. Soccer matches.
Soccer matches.
I'm having a hard time keeping up with these American terms. I'm
we-
proud to be an American, but sometimes don't quite get as intense as I'd like to be.
I think we should just move on to Group D.
Group B, you said?
Group D,
Group D.
as in the group of death. As so often as
Oh, sorry.
stated by everybody.
I was thinking of the Greek alphabet. I apologize. D. Okay. Group D is a group featuring Uruguay, Costa Rica, England, and Italy. I think this is probably going to be my favorite group to discuss for one very simple reason. Now, I've never been to England. I'm not that well traveled, I must say, but you have been to England. Is that correct or is that incorrect? Because I really hope it's correct because I've hyped this up a lot.
That is correct.
Oh, thank God. Okay. How long were you in England? Were you just there for a couple of days? Or
I was there for 5 months.
5 months?
But I wasn't in England for all 5 of those months, but England was at least 4 of them.
So a majority. So you spent at least 4 months in England.
Correct.
So are you a citizen or?
I think I'm a resident, and I think I have.
Do you still live in England?
Well, I was a resident, so then I became a citizen.
I mean, if you still live in England, then I have to say you traveled a lot further to get here than I thought. But okay. Now, when you were in England, did you get a feel for the sporting culture?
Oh, they're huge into soccer. That's all they care about. Oh, and cricket. That's a whole other thing, though.
So all they care about is soccer and cricket. Do they not care about literature? Do they not care about their families? Do they not care about other
You asked
elements?
about sporting specifically, John.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Can we, let's go back with tape. So can you tell me about the sporting culture in England?
See there?
Okay, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me there. Okay. So, I apologize. Shake hands. All right, Nick has extended his hand. We are shaking hands, and all is settled, and let's move on. But anyway, they care about soccer. They care about cricket. Who are some of their favorite players? Because that's another thing we want to get into here. We're not just talking about the teams. We're going to talk about the players.
Well, David Beckham
David Beckham.
is a big one.
Okay. That name sounds familiar.
I believe he played for the New York Red Bulls.
Oh, okay. So he plays for the United States now.
Yeah, isn't he on the U.S. team?
Yes, he is. Okay. That's where I recognize it. I don't know how that slipped my mind. But okay, what about England as a whole? Not just what they're like as a sporting country, but as people, as a cultural institution, as it were.
They're basically America
Okay.
with different accents.
Okay. What do they have, like the southern accents, or what do they?
No, they have. Have you ever heard of a British accent?
Wait, I thought British accents were what they had in Great Britain.
That's true, but England is kind of like Great.
What are they, like, next to each other?
Yeah.
Okay. So, just what are some other things? I don't even know what to ask at this point. What are some other things about England that really struck your fancy?
Well, I was actually over there in 2010, so right before the World Cup.
Wait, hold on. You were in England when they had the World Cup?
Right before I actually left, my flight home was the day England played Ghana.
Wow.
So I wasn't there for that game.
Man, oh man. And that they hosted the World Cup that year, correct?
No, Spain did. That's why they won.
Home field advantage, yeah. Home pitch advantage. I apologize. We had these agreements for how we were going to say everything. We had these agreements for proper terminology, and I blew it.
But I do have my opinion on England soccer fans. They call them hooligans over there, by the way. I don't know why. But anyway, They are kind of like Blues fans.
So, that must be why your Twitter handle about Blues fans, because the solidarity you felt with England.
That's part of it.
Okay.
But they're like Blues fans in the fact that they know their team's not going to win.
And they're just resigned to the fact that their team's not going to win.
They basically know. I was talking to them about, like, are you excited for the World Cup? You think you guys have a chance? I know you guys are good. And they're like, you know what? We're good, but we never win. Have they ever won before?
England, yes. They actually won the first World Cup, which took place in, hold on here, let me shuffle the papers. They won the first World Cup, which took place in 1386. They have not won since. There have been millions of World Cups since 1386.
So they're like the Cubs, not the Blues.
I guess you could say that. I'm not really into these cross-sport analogies. I stick mostly to soccer, but if you say so, I'll trust you on it.
That's gotta be disappointing for them because they're big fans. That's like their only thing over there. That's all they have.
I feel bad for them, honestly. I mean, I'm obviously, as you can tell from anyone who's listening, I'm a big soccer fan. I know the ins and outs of this sport. But if soccer were to go away, I'd be disappointed for a few days, but I'd find other things to do. But not so much in England, it sounds like. It sounds kind of depressing. If I recall correctly, England plays at, they're at Wembley Stadium, is that correct?
That's how you pronounce it, yes.
Wembley Stadium, okay.
They say it a little differently with their accent, but you got it right.
I actually researched a little bit of a tidbit here. They actually just recently renovated Wembley, and there was a couple years in there where Wembley could not be used for the purposes of what they call football, what we call soccer. So they played in a stadium called Millennium Stadium, which is located in Cardiff, which is in Wales. Now, Wales is a separate country from England. So what I'm wondering is, why is it that England did not have another stadium in England that they played in while Wembley was being renovated?
England's not a very big country.
Oh, okay. Did they not have any other large stadiums that would be able to fit the team?
They don't have room for them. They're like the size of Rhode Island. And they have 60 million people in them. Can you imagine how crowded that is?
We all know Rhode Island doesn't. They only have one soccer stadium too. They have a soccer stadium on Brown University's campus, and that's it. And England, they only have the one?
I think so. That's all I saw.
Wow.
And I went to basically the whole country because it's only 5 miles wide.
Wow. Did you walk it, or did you?
I jogged it every now and then.
Wow. That's.
Tour to England.
I am so glad that you're here for this inside information about England, because I didn't know any of this. This is incredible to me.
It's a fascinating country.
It's interesting. I'm gonna have to ask you some more about this. Maybe later on in the show, maybe off mic. I don't know. But that's crazy. That's so crazy. But looking at other teams in the group, I think I may have stumbled upon something here. So you know how Mexico is basically the United States, Colombia is basically the United States, and the United States is really basically the United States?
That's correct.
Let me introduce you to a little country called Costa Rica. Do you know where Costa Rica's team is based? And you can look it up on Wikipedia if you need to.
I believe it's San Jose.
Yes, and do you know where San Jose is located?
Southern California.
It's in California. We know that. San Jose is a city in California, and that is where Costa Rica is based. And
so we have another one. So we've quadrupled our teams.
There's at least 4. There might be more. We'll have to figure them out as we go along. But there's basically 4 teams playing for the United States. That means there's 4 teams out of, was it 40? 32. 4 out of 32. Okay. 4 out of 32 teams. That's the U.S. is favorites. This is nuts. This is crazy.
We have a good shot here.
I am so excited.
Especially with Costa Rica being one of them. I think they're the strongest one of those 4 we've mentioned so far.
Do you think this is a moral dilemma for people that live near San Jose, California? Do you think that they're sort of do we root for the United States, or do we root for San Jose?
Well, I think you root for your country you live in first.
Okay.
which is the
Okay.
United States. But once the U.S. gets knocked out, Costa Rica will still be around.
If they get
They're
knocked
that strong.
if the United States is knocked out.
That's a good point.
I mean, Costa Rica obviously is a juggernaut. They're, spoiler alert, probably going to be a real title contender, unlike the United States. Now let's talk about who we think is going to win this group. Is it England? Is it Costa Rica? Italy or Uruguay? Who do you believe is going to win the group?
I have Italy.
Italy. Now we haven't really talked much about Italy. Do you have any experiences with them?
I've been there as well.
Really? How long did you live in Italy?
I didn't. I visited there. I never lived there.
But you were alive when you were there, correct?
That's true. So I think I did live there.
So, yeah, I mean, you may not have had a full-time residence. You may not have lived there as long as you lived in England, but you still did live in Italy. How were the Italians? Did you enjoy your time in Italy?
They were nice. They were very, very passionate about soccer.
Really? 'Cause it's weird because you mentioned before that Europe's really not a big soccer continent. Is it basically just England and Italy and
Spain.
Spain?
I mean, they won it.
Well, that was because they hosted it.
That's
so.
true. It's like the Brazil factor this year.
Or the United States factor.
They grew their sport because of that.
Okay, but you have Italy winning, which is a country you've been to. Do you think there's any sort of biases there towards countries you've lived in? Or do you think it's just, you think they're a good team? Because this is a soccer show, so we don't want any sort of bias.
I think it's a pretty good team. I think they're pretty loaded. I think they made a run in 06. I don't remember how far they got in 06, but...
I think they may have lost...
Did they lose to Panama?
I think they lost to Panama. But they had a good run, and not every World Cup is won by a team that's won it. You know what? Spain won it last time. They hadn't won the World Cup before. The World Cup's been going on since the 14th century. It's hard not to have won by this point. The United States has like 5 World Cups. They just all happened like in the 1500s, so we weren't alive. They're still there. They still count. Flags fly forever, baby. I don't know why I called you baby. I apologize for that.
That's all right. I'll move on.
All right. So who do you have finishing in second in the group behind Italy?
I got my sleeper pick in Uruguay.
Really? So England, which you lived in for a long time, Costa Rica, which is in the United States, you don't have either of them advancing?
I struggled over England.
Okay.
I know I said Costa Rica was strong, but this group is just too strong.
This is a strong group.
They have a tough road.
Okay.
And I think Uruguay upsets them 4-0.
So you have Italy and Uruguay. I actually also have Uruguay finishing in second in the group. I'm going with merry old England to win the group. That's what they call themselves, merry old England, correct?
Yes.
Is that like a thing that they all say all the time, or is it just sort of a formal term?
It's kind of like when you introduce yourself to somebody, say from the United States, that's the first thing they say to you, with a merry old England. And then you never hear it again. It's weird.
Yeah, I actually just had somebody move in near me recently, and I introduced myself. Hi, I'm John from the United States. They didn't seem that crazy about it. They seemed confused, a little disoriented. I'm not sure why that is, but merry old England's a little more socially acceptable.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
They say it a lot over there.
Well,
it's all over their banners and their buildings and everything.
Do they have it on their money, or
yeah,
like welcome to merry old England?
No, it's like the main thing on the money. It's like, you know how it says "In God We Trust" on ours.
Hold on. Does it? Let me pull out some money. Don't want to brag about it, but I do have paper currency on me. Let's go ahead and check this. I have a crisp $20 bill. Just rolling in the money here. Let's see. Federal Reserve note, the United States of America. By the way, you're listening to the Insider's Guide to the 2014 World Cup. $20. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Picture of old, who is that? There's a guy on it. Who is that? Is that
I believe that's
Hulk?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason they have Jackson written below it. That must be a typo. All right. In God we trust. You're correct. I owe you $20. I am now handing him the $20, and we'll move on. Group E. E is a letter in the alphabet, and it is also a letter which represents a group in the World Cup. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
And,
How many groups are there?
there's up to 8.
You know what I've noticed? There's been 4 teams in each group so far. We were discussing this earlier.
The pattern's holding quite well. Now, Group E, we have Switzerland, or is it Switzerland? Switzerland, Switzerland, Ecuador, France, and Honduras. Now, Ecuador actually has an interesting story. Are you familiar with Ecuador and their ties to international soccer/football lore?
I don't even know why they're named Ecuador.
That's actually ties in very well to this. The country of Ecuador. I was confused by it growing up. I saw this weird country that said Ecuador. I was like, well, what does that mean? Well, when I became a soccer fan, I learned that Ecuador is actually named after the founder of the country. His name is Billy Ecuador. He is actually the guy who invented stoppage time.
Oh, man.
Stoppage time, I have to say, probably my favorite feature of soccer, of the beautiful game. For those not familiar with the game, which hopefully you're becoming more familiar, but you may not quite be there yet, a lot of sports, they have a clock.
Baseball doesn't, I've heard.
It's the only sport without a clock, if my sources are correct. But anyway, they have a clock. A lot of sports, including soccer. But most of the clocks stop. For instance, somebody may have watched the basketball match that was on television last night. A guy might dribble the basketball and step out of bounds. And if it said 5.6 seconds left, by golly, it said 5.6 seconds for a while because the clock just stopped. However, when it comes to the beautiful game, the clock just keeps going. Not only does the clock keep going, it counts up. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Good. I was testing you. Because if you didn't know that, I would question if you were truly a soccer expert.
It's a pretty, known thing around the soccer world.
In the soccer world, yes. But again, we don't want to be pretentious soccer snobs here. We just want people to support their team, buy their local club's kits, and go to local bars and support the teams.
Pubs. You almost got that one.
I'm getting there. I swear I'm getting there. All right. But anyway, Billy Ecuador founded stoppage time, which, a lot of people complain about stoppage time. They say, well, why don't they just have the clock stop? It's not like they don't have the technology for it. Not like they can't, press some sort of lever and have a clock stop. But I think that's what makes the game beautiful. I would say they call it the beautiful game because you don't just know when time's going to stop. You don't know when the game's going to end.
It's true. I mean, they can't stall. They don't know when the game's going to end. Like in basketball, there's 20 seconds left in the game, you have 5 points, you're just going to dribble the ball around.
And it's so finite, and it's so rigid, it's so Industrial Revolution, and I'm not anti-Industrial Revolution by any means. But when it comes to my sporting events, I want things to be a little more poetic. I want things to flow a little easier, and that is why we are huge, huge soccer fans. Do you agree?
I agree. I mean,
awesome. So anyway, Billy Ecuador, founder of Stoppage Time, also founder of Ecuador. Now, looking through the rosters, there seems to be a little bit of a consensus that this may not be the strongest group in the World Cup. Even France, who has actually won the World Cup previously, one of their best players, I think his name's Pierre something, actually is injured and is going to miss the World Cup. This was just announced today. This is an insider scoop that you're not going to get anywhere else because, frankly, not a lot of people are covering the World Cup. But with Switzerland, quite a big player coming in. I know you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean Roger Federer?
Roger Federer. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Roger Federer, he's a tennis player. Nay, was a tennis player. That's not saying he's done with tennis forever, but he's done with tennis for right now. He was eliminated from the French Open. He lost to presumably a tennis player, and because of his loss, he's able to leave France, hop a ship over to Brazil, because I believe that's how most people travel from France to Brazil, is by ship, and resume training with the Swiss national football, and I'm allowed to call it football because they call it football, team.
He's got good footwork.
I think the footwork's important, and I think that it's something that a lot of people don't really understand.
Is he very tall? Because you know what I've noticed? A lot of soccer players aren't very tall.
It is strange. I mean, you have a few soccer players in there that are maybe 6'4", 5, 6. You don't really have like the 7-footers. The National Basketball Association in the United States, for instance, there's a lot of guys that are 7 feet. Would these guys, if they were in a country that played soccer more than they played basketball, would they just be really tall soccer players? Would they just have a whole wall of them that can just stand in front of the net and just block the thing?
That's not a bad strategy. Why don't more teams do that?
I don't know.
Why don't they have like 5 goalkeepers?
Nick, when we move to Spain, we can do that. How do we do that? We can reinvent the game. Beautiful game. Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Really fast. I don't know why. Okay. All right. So anyway, we have. I'm pretty sure it's not going to catch on the microphone, but which hopefully it didn't, because it was secret. If anyone heard that, that's not good. Anyway, we have obviously the Swiss team will be. I'm not sure how is it pronounced. Buoyed. They'll be buoyed by the presence of. Buoyed or Bowied?
Wad.
Wad, okay.
They speak French over there. You know.
Yeah, that's the Swiss are known for their capabilities of the French language. So who do you think is going to win this group, though?
Switzerland, actually.
Really? Is it because of the presence of Roger Federer?
That's part of it. But the other part is, I think they're going to tie all. Excuse me. I think they're going to draw all 3 of their games.
I was going to ask, a tie, what are they going to, like, when they tie their soccer boots? Is that what you were referring to? But you mean draw.
Draw. They're going to draw all 3 of their games and somehow win the group. You know why?
Federer?
Correct. Because that guy just does not lose.
Cool. All right. I mean, Switzerland, they're not really known for the ties. They're not really known for neutrality. Draws. Anyway. All right.
They're not known for neutrality. It would be a rare event for them to draw.
All right. So, anyway. You have Switzerland.
Switzerland.
All right. Is that one of those countries you've been to?
I was there for 3 hours, so I don't know if that counts.
But you were alive when you were in Switzerland, correct?
Correct.
How was it? Was it nice?
It was a beautiful country.
Really?
That's the reason they have a threat for a beautiful
country,
game.
Beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. Oh, sorry. Okay. That's awesome, though. I'm pretty psyched about this.
I was actually there in June, and it was snowing.
Is it snowing there now?
Well, that was 4 years ago, so it could be.
Wait, you were there? You were there 4 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
In 2010?
Yeah, it was World Cup time again.
Oh yeah, it's 2014. Okay, sorry. I, for some reason, was thinking it was much, much later in time.
We have been here a while.
We have been here. It's been quite a lot of time spent here. But again, this is the Insider's Guide to the 2014 World Cup. We're not going to skip. We're going to cover everything about this event so that you only have to listen to one audio program about the World Cup to know everything that you need to know to be a fan. Who do you have finishing in second in the group?
The inventor of the French fry, France.
Interesting. So you have Switzerland, sorry, finishing in first, and France finishing in second.
Correct.
I'm going to blow your mind here. I had the same 2 teams, different order. I have France finishing in first. I have Switzerland finishing in second.
Is it because you're a big fan of French fries? Because I'm a big fan of French fries. That's why I picked them.
Again, you can't let your fandom influence.
Oh, right. Well, I actually think they're a good team, too.
I think they're a very good team. I think Switzerland is a very good team as well.
But do you think that guy who got hurt today could affect them?
Pierre something?
Pierre Toussaint, yes.
Pierre Toussaint, I think it's not going to help them. I'll admit that. But I think they have a lot of talent. I think they're going to pull off some pretty good results. Anyway, let's move on to Group F, we've, I think, covered Group E pretty extensively, covered most of the players, all of the teams, and learned a little bit something about ourselves. Oh, have you been to France, by the way? Because you've been to a lot of these European...
Oh, yeah, I have been to France. There's nothing special.
Okay. So, Group F, we have... It's just weird because you kept talking about how much you liked the French fries. I mean...
Well, that's because they brought them to America, and we made them better because America is better.
Can't argue with that. Group F, we have Argentina, I apologize. I botched that the first time. I am going to make sure that I get all these names right. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Iran, and Nigeria.
We got some interesting names in this group, especially I want to start with Iran, because normally in soccer, you run. So they have to have a strong capability there just by their name.
You bring up an interesting point, and I don't disagree with you. However, notice how it's Iran and not we ran. There's like 30 guys on the field at one time whenever you're playing the beautiful game. You can't just be running in one direction, not helping.
It seems a little self-centered, doesn't it?
A little bit. You need to be focused on your mission. You need to be focused on the overall results. It's imperative that you play as a team. The beautiful game was meant to be played beautifully, not to be played by a bunch of selfish people who don't care about the glory of the nation and of their teammates.
I mean, there is no I in soccer or the beautiful game.
Is there an I in Iran?
There is an I in Iran.
I guess we know why now. So anyway, though, it's sort of an interesting pattern here. Argentina is generally considered to be the favorite in this group, and they're a team that very important to me. As some of you may know, I'm a big fan of the rock and roll band Oasis. They broke up a few years ago. I cried for years about it. I literally stopped crying about 5 days ago. Lionel,
it's a big step, though. Congratulations.
It's a big step. Once I realized that it's been several years, all of the members have released solo work, realized that I really didn't need to keep crying anymore. But Lionel Messi and Carlos Tevez, two of the better players on Argentina.
It's Lionel.
Lionel, sorry. Again, these names are difficult. Lionel Messi, Carlos Tevez, apparently big fans of Oasis. It's their favorite band too. And you know what? They have said that they will pay any amount of money and they will reunite the band if they win the World Cup. I think it's a little strange because they're not from Argentina. Oasis is not. They're not, to my knowledge, fans of Argentina, but they are fans of money. I'm a fan of money. Are you a fan of money?
I'm a big fan of money.
All right. I'm glad we got this covered.
Thanks for that $20, by the way.
You are very welcome. I hope you spend that money wisely.
I'm going to go buy a new soccer kit.
Really? Are there any... Is there a particular... By the way, is there a particular team you support?
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth. Interesting, because a lot of American soccer fans, they root for the Manchester Uniteds, they root for the Arsenals, they root for the Real Madrids, they root for the Barcelonas. These are just perennial powers. Portsmouth, not a perennial
I like to go with the teams that not many people have heard of and are up and coming. They seem to be getting there. They're about 25, 30 years away, maybe. That's pretty short time considering you think about England. They haven't been around they've been around pretty long.
England has been around, if I'm not mistaken, for about 3 billion years. And in those 3 billion years, Portsmouth has not had the most success. I mean, granted, 3 billion years is a long time, so they've won about 7,000 titles. But all things considered, 7,000 titles, not that much.
I mean, you don't want to root for the Man U's of the world who've won, what, 25,000 titles? Spending $35 trillion a year?
It's not 35 trillion. Don't be ridiculous. 35 trillion. I think that's like maybe for their goalies, their goalkeepers, I should say. But yeah, it's a little higher than that. But anyway, Messi and Tevez are looking to reunite Oasis. Now, most people don't care about this. It's pretty much me. But interestingly enough, the other teams in the group have decided to reunite their own 90s bands if they win the World Cup. Granted, these are less likely outcomes than Argentina winning the World Cup, but here we go. Let me just keep it the list. Bosnia and Herzegovina is going to reunite the band Passengers. Passengers had a song called Miss Sarajevo. If you're not familiar with Sarajevo, that's actually the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Were you aware of that?
No.
It's an intimate soccer detail.
Yeah, that's an interesting tidbit. I would not have known that without this.
Now,
And I doubt our listeners would know that either.
Passengers is sort of an obscure band because they're actually the exact same band as the band U2, who are possibly a more obscure band, honestly. And some would say that because U2 has been around for about 40 years with the exact same members throughout the entire time, it won't be that difficult to reunite them. But gotta admire the gumption. Gotta admire it.
Gumption's important.
I think gumption is one of the more important skills in the beautiful game. What do you think?
You gotta have it. I mean, you can have all the talent you want, but give me a team with gumption over a team with talent every day.
I am going to add gumption to the list of things that you need. G-U-M...
P-P.
P-P...
T-U-N.
G-U-M-P-P-T-U-N. Gumption. Gumption. All right. Anyway, Nigeria. This one surprised me. Nigeria is a big fan of Savage Garden. Savage Garden, kind of a pop band from Australia. Had a lot of songs that are played at weddings and wedding receptions and other things that have to do with weddings. And I guess Nigeria is looking for a marriage between themselves and eternal success in soccer.
I mean, they need that. They don't. I mean,
They would like that.
they would like that.
They need it, and
It's true.
it would be positive. So anyway, I'm interested by how's it pronounced again? It's I-R-A-N.
Iran.
Iran, not we ran. Iran.
Should think about changing the name Iran in my opinion.
It's a good point. Iran planning on reuniting Nirvana. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. How are they going to reunite Nirvana? Chris Novoselic's a congressman or something like that. Dave Grohl's with the Foo Fighters, and Kurt Cobain's been dead for 20 years. However, here's what they're going to do. This is very sneaky of them. Iran's media, not so free. So, they say they have Nirvana. They say they reunite. They bring him in. They do a concert for Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He's like, hey, we won the World Cup. Nirvana came by, played a show for me. They took off and ran. That's what rock stars do. Pretty good call, I think.
You can't spell Nirvana without Iran.
Oh my god.
It all fits.
Oh my god. Hold on. Nirvana. Iran. Iran Van. You can rearrange the letters of Nirvana and you get Iran Van. And the van you
almost get Iran and a half.
That is correct. Yes.
Are they going to bring back 1.5 Nirvanas?
Well, it makes sense since one of them's dead, but are they going to cut somebody in half? All right.
Yeah, that might be too much.
We need to let them know. This could be bad.
Well, luckily I did not pick them in this group. So
I didn't either.
I don't think they got much of a chance.
I didn't either, but gotta be cautious. These are men's lives that are at stake here. Okay, anyway, who do you have winning the group?
I got Argentina.
Argentina.
Lionel Messi's just too strong.
Lionel Messi is one of the better players in the world, if not the galaxy.
Not many people know about him, though. It's amazing.
Yeah, again, we're trying to really... we can mention the obvious players. We mentioned David Beckham. We're not proud of that, but he has to be mentioned because he is the world's foremost player. But the Lionel Messi is quite important as well.
And the other one I have is Bosnia. Do you have any interesting stories on Bosnians?
Well, I actually live in, I don't want to really give too much detail about where I live, but I live in a very highly designated, there's a lot of people from Bosnia living near me, and in my experiences, very passionate fans, very lovely people, And I can't wait personally to go across the street from me to the local pub during a Boz and Hertz game. Maybe buy a round for the fans gathered for Boz and Hertz. Hopefully cheer the team on to success. That's my hope.
Would you say you're a Boz supporter then?
In some ways, they're my fifth team. I have to root for the United States first. I have to
The four United States teams, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I have to root for the United States, Mexico, Costa Rica, and Colombia. How could I forget Colombia? But beyond that, yeah, I think they're a good team. And those are actually the two teams I have as well. Argentina's number 1. Bosnia and Herzegovina, number 2. And I'm sorry, fans of Nirvana. Sorry, fans of Savage Garden. I don't think it's going to be your World Cup.
Maybe next year. There's one of these next year, right?
Again, there's always next year. It's important to remember. Let's move on to Group G. Group G, let's see who the countries are in that. Group G includes Germany, Portugal, Ghana, and a little country called the old US of A. United States of America. Now,
People forget the U.S. is in this thing.
have you lived in the United States of America before? Because I have.
Oh, I have.
I have lived in the United States of America for my entire life. Obviously, you had your little flings in England.
It's true. I almost became a traitor.
I'm
Trader.
Thanks. This isn't a spelling test. Okay. But, yes. I lived in the United States my whole life. Nick here, maybe not his whole life, but a long amount of his life. We're big fans of Team USA. There's a lot of players. The aforementioned David Beckham, Kobe Jones, Alexi Lawless, the dynamic goalkeeping duo of Casey Keller and Brad Friedel, Eddie Pope, Jeff Agus. The players are countless that are here for this team.
All led by Landon Donovan.
I am optimistic about this. Did you not hear about Landon Donovan?
Something happened.
He was cut.
What?
The manager, I think it's Jacob Klinsman or something, he elected not to put Landon Donovan on the team. So there will be 23 players. The Lawlesses, the Popes, the Agusai,
But not Donovan.
but not Donovan.
Why?
I'm not sure. I'm just not.
Was this news just broken yesterday or today?
It was. I heard about it while we were doing this.
Oh, man.
As you'll see, I have Landon Donovan written down on this paper and scratched it out just because it was going to come up. And I hate to be the one breaking it to people. Hopefully you guys have heard the news from a loved one before you listen to the show. But if not, you know now.
Well, that's why you're here. To find out the big news on here.
That's why we're here. But I'm interested in tracking Alexi Lawless. Because I think we need to answer once and for all if gingers can play sports. Alexi Lawless, for those unfamiliar, distinct red hair. Playing soccer. The beautiful game. The beautiful sport, even. And I'm all for his right to play. I don't necessarily approve of the ginger lifestyle, but if he can help this team win, then his history, his past history, I can learn to accept that. I can learn to.
Is there any steroid controversy around him, though?
I think you're thinking it's Mark McGuire.
He played soccer. Yeah, he did play soccer.
Oh, Mark McGuire definitely played soccer.
Yeah.
There's no
He
question
was
about that.
pretty good, too.
He
Back
was
in the 70s?
He was a terrific soccer player. However, he's not on this team, and Alexi Lawless is. But again, we'll see what happens. Now, perhaps the biggest star in this group, perhaps the biggest star in the tournament, depending on who you ask, Cristiano Ronaldo. What are your thoughts on Cristiano Ronaldo?
Who's Cristiano Ronaldo? All I know is Ronaldo. He only has one name. From Brazil?
Okay. Apparently you don't know the story either. I'll tell the story. It's a bit insidery. Had to get a drink of water real quick there. This might take a while. There was a player, as you mentioned, named Ronaldo. He played for the Brazilian national team in the 1990s. He played for noted clubs as Barcelona, as Internazionale Milan, as some club in France, I don't remember. But he played for these teams. He played for Brazil. Got a little older. Right as he was getting to a point where he wasn't going to be able to play, right as he was getting to a point where he was not going to possibly play for Brazil, he moved. He didn't move. He visited Portugal. Portugal is a country, if you're not familiar with it, in Europe, which is a different continent than Brazil. And when he moved there, he, for lack of a better term, found spiritual enlightenment. And he became a born-again Christian. Now, this show is open to all religions. I'm certainly happy for the man. He found some sort of religious fulfillment. Great for him. I'm all for that. But some of what transpired I don't really approve of, because what happened with Ronaldo, who changed his name to Cristiano Ronaldo, which translates to Christian Ronaldo, I'm fine with that. The fact that he changed his name, a little tough to deal with at first, but I can adjust to it. He declared that because he was born again while in Portugal, which is a country in Europe, because he was born again, he was not tied to play for Brazil, and therefore...
So he's a Portuguese citizen. Now he's playing for Portugal.
According to Portugal, he's not a Portuguese citizen. According to FIFA, he's eligible to play for Brazil or Portugal.
There are interesting FIFA rules on that, aren't there?
They're a little tough to navigate. But he chose Portugal, and now he is playing as Cristiano Ronaldo for Portugal.
That's a pretty cool story. I didn't know that before I made my picks. Now I think I
Well,
should have changed.
his abilities probably won't affect whether or not the team does well.
They're not good anymore. I mean, he's old.
He's very old. Cristiano Ronaldo is about, yeah, in his 40s. I mean, getting up there. For a soccer player, pretty old. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that they can advance?
I don't have them advancing, but I can see it.
Really?
But I don't think they will.
Okay. Do you have any other teams that you're particularly looking at or you're invested in? Or?
Well, I'm a big fan of Germany.
No. That's cool that you say you're a big fan of Germany.
Well, my ancestors are from there.
Yours are too?
Don't hate on my ancestors.
Your ancestors are from Germany too?
Yeah.
Wow. Because I have to say, Germany's my fatherland. My ancestors are from Germany. And people, they try to grill me on this. Like, oh, you're not really a Germany fan. Do you know German? No, I don't know German. Have you been to Germany? No.
I have.
Well, good for you.
I know.
Do you have any intention of going to Germany? No, I don't. Do you know any of your ancestors who were from Germany? No, they died 100 years before I was born. What's the big deal? The big deal is that Germany is my fatherland, and it's yours too. By the way, what did you think of Germany?
It was alright. I wasn't there for very long, so I don't really have too much of an opinion, but the people were nice. They liked beer a lot. A lot. Other than that, though, a lot of sausage.
Germany is... I mean, there aren't that many countries that like beer. Germany is one of them, though.
That's a good point. Beer is very not known, not really consumed heavily beverage.
It's popular in Germany. It's popular in the United States to a lesser degree.
And Ireland. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. The countries that call it soccer.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Who do you think's going to win the group, and who do you think's going to finish second in the group?
Well, I got Germany winning the group.
Okay.
And I got the US of A coming out and finishing second.
USA. 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 Oh, okay, fine. All right.
Because I got them beating Ghana 2-0.
Nice. 2-0 is a good sport. Good sports.
You gotta be careful with that 2-0 though. It's the most dangerous lead in hockey. Oh, it's soccer. Iced hockey. Soccer. I'm confused here. Getting my sports mixed up.
Trace acero, as they say, whenever The U.S. goes up 2-0 on Mexico. Tres Acero, baby.
That's the correct translation to 2-0.
I'll be honest, I haven't taken a Spanish class since high school. I don't consider myself fluent, but yes.
Everybody knows 1 through 10, John.
Uno, tres, catorce. That's it, right?
Quince.
I did. That's 10, right? That's up to 10?
You got there.
Okay.
You did well.
So you're going with Germany, and you're going with the good old US of A. I am going to, unfortunately, not be able to agree with you. I would love for the US of A. I'm going with Germany to win the group. Gotta go with old pesky cheater Ronaldo. I think Portugal's going to finish in second. I think the US of A has a very good chance of finishing third in the group. I can't pick them to finish second, though.
I think you're wrong. I think you're a traitor.
I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that I would gladly be deported from this country if the U.S. wins, and I'm revealed to be a turncoat who doesn't care and who doesn't think highly of the team. Love nothing more.
But Landon Donovan's out, and now that I just learned that,
Does it affect your pick?
I'm still picking the U.S.
Good for you.
You got to go with them.
All right, now Group H. This is actually the final group, and what do you know? This one also has 4 teams.
That means every group had 4 teams. So we got that one right.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So we have Belgium, Algeria. It's Algeria, right? Not Algeria. It's Algeria.
It's Algeria.
Okay. Russia and South Korea. South Korea, they were not in the last World Cup, I don't believe, but North Korea was, and unfortunately not to return. And it's a shame.
I think that's the biggest disappointment of this whole tournament this time.
North Korea.
I really enjoyed watching North Korea last time. I thought they were a gritty team. Came out and played hard. I mean, they were in a tough group. They were in Portugal, and I think it was Brazil.
You know what?
Pretty tough group.
North Korea is going to get the revenge because Portugal may have won like 7-0, 8-0, 35-0. I don't remember. There's really not accurate records to determine this because the World Cup kind of a rinky-dinky event. Gotta be honest with you. But once Portugal's ruled ineligible, once this whole Cristiano Ronaldo fiasco is fixed, North Korea is going to get a victory out of that. They may not have won the World Cup, but they would have gotten a victory.
We're a pretty good team.
Well, certainly a good team. I mean, granted, this is a team that would end up getting 0 points out of it because they would forfeit all of their matches, but North Korea wouldn't finish last. But I'm looking at this group, and Algeria, they were in the World Cup last time around. They lost to the United States 1-2-0. And the goal that they lost on was scored by one Landon Donovan. The question now becomes, now that Landon Donovan has been released from the United States, what team will he sign with? He's a free agent now. He can sign with whoever he wants. I think, you're kind of a little close, I think it's going to be one of the other teams in the group. I think Belgium, Russia, or South Korea is going to pony up and sign Landon Donovan. What do you think?
I think it'll be Algeria.
Really?
I think because of what happened 4 years ago that they'll want him. They saw the clutchness, they saw the grittiness in him. They want a player like that because they couldn't. I mean, they got it. They're in a pretty tough group for. It's not a tough group, but it's pretty strong for their capabilities, and they need a guy to get them over the hump because they have potential in this group.
So they're just going to want to avoid any sort of calamities as what happened.
Yeah, they don't want that to happen again. They don't want to have two World Cups in a row. They get, their heart broken by Landon Donovan.
Okay, so what we have is the Belgium squad as currently designated, the Russia squad as currently designated, the South Korea squad as currently designated, and Algeria as currently designated, plus Landon Donovan.
That's what I have. Yes.
And presumably minus a player that's
Algerian,
not particularly good, and Nigerian or Algerian. My country's confused, man.
They could have somebody from Nigeria. I mean, Portugal has Ronaldo.
That's a good idea. I guess technically.
Why hasn't the U.S. signed anybody from like Spain or countries?
I mean, they got Beckham, and obviously he's gonna be a big factor in this World Cup. But I I think they're happy with their current squad. They're afraid of
Well,
ruining
if you leave off Lane and Donovan, your team must be loaded.
Oh,
That's
certainly.
all I gotta say.
Certainly. The Russian team is interesting. Now, Russia, of course, has one of the great young goal scorers in the world in Vladimir Tarasenko. Do you think he's going to be an impact player, or do you think the stage is going to be a little too big for him?
The stage wasn't big from the last time around. He put up goals in clutch situations like I've never seen before.
Very true. I don't know about this time, though. I'm a little worried about whether or not Tarasenko... I mean, Pavel Datsuk's veteran leadership hopefully will be able to set the team straight. I think he might be the best player on the team. You got a guy like Varlamov in the goalkeeper position.
Well, isn't Patrick Roy their backup? He's a stud. Like, that guy wins playoff games. Playoff game. Wait, I'm mixing up sports again.
Look.
Playoff
Okay,
matches.
okay.
Premier League.
Nick. I know we're having a lot of fun here. I know we're trying to enjoy ourselves, discuss soccer, but we need to make sure we keep this an intellectually consistent show. And if I have you coming on here talking about how Patrick Roy, who, as we all know, is the goalkeeper for the Canadian national soccer team, if you're saying that he's on Russia, that's ridiculous. The show's gonna lose all its credibility if you keep this up, man. Okay. Look, you've done a good job so far. I've appreciated your insights.
You could have done this off mic, John. Now you got all my listeners, or our listeners, thinking I'm an idiot.
You're right. I'm sorry. And look, if there's going to be tension between us, that's fine.
I think we should just get through the show, John.
When you get to the show,
Let's get through the show.
we'll figure this out afterwards. And I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. And let's try to move on. Okay, who do you think is going to win the group?
I got Belgium.
Okay, is it because of the waffles?
Very much so.
Have you been to Belgium?
I have not been to Belgium.
But you had the waffles.
Yeah.
I've also had the waffles. I have also never been to Belgium, and I also have them winning the group. See, we have common
That's
ground
good.
here.
We're moving along.
We're repairing this little relationship here. That's a good start. And who do you have finishing in second in the group?
I got Russia finishing second. I think Tarasenko just puts him over the top.
I also have Russia. I don't know if it's going to be because of Tarasenko. I think Varlamov, between the pipes, it's going to be tough for anyone to score on them. And I have them finishing in second. I still think Belgium's going to score on them, apparently. All right, so we have the Sweet 16 figured out.
Sweet 16, correct.
Now, I have Brazil facing the Netherlands.
As do I.
Who do you have winning that?
No, I got Brazil. Home pitch advantage. You can't take that away from them. It will never leave them for this World Cup. Because the World Cup is never outside of Brazil.
Never. I am also going with Brazil. And you know what? I have some insider information for you. You want to hear why?
Let's hear it.
This match between Brazil and the Netherlands will be occurring a little bit after the NBA Finals, which means all of the NBA players that aren't from the United States, they're going to have a little break and go back to their home countries. So you know what that means.
They're going to get a lot of good athletes coming back home.
And one in particular,
Anderson Varejao.
Varejao is going to step in. He may or he may not play. This may be a Willis Reed situation where he doesn't necessarily play that much, but he's the moral and spiritual leader of the team. They're going to beat the Netherlands.
Plus, another fact you didn't mention with that is their fans are bandwagoners, and with the NBA over, they're not going to have anything else to watch but this soccer match.
Well, yeah,
so they're going to have a bunch of fans show up.
Well, once their Heat are eliminated, or once they win, depending on what happens. Again, I'm not a basketball expert. I'm not going to offer any sort of predictions there, but it is my understanding that the Miami Heat are in the finals. I believe is what it's called. The multi-legged series.
I believe so.
Okay. But we're going to go through.
It has 5 legs, by the way.
Five
legs. Best of 5.
Is it aggregate?
Yes.
Okay.
Every sport is aggregate, John.
You'd be silly not to, right?
I know.
Okay. So the next one. we have. Let's make sure we're looking at the same part of the bracket here. Our brackets look like they might be a little topsy-turvy here. I don't know that we have ours organized the same way.
That could be an issue.
This could be an issue.
All I know is like with this bracket before we got here, because I wanted to make sure I did not provide our listeners with incorrect information.
Well, let's give it a look-see here, because one of us filled out our bracket completely incorrectly. Perhaps we're both experts, but some of us make mistakes from time to time. So it's going to be just one moment here. If you could go ahead and fill with some more stories of merry old England while I go ahead and look this up, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Can I talk about the Tower Bridge? Because I know we don't want to get into bridges here, but that one bridge...
Well, our bridge podcast is several 100,000 episodes that are dealing with American bridges. So any bridge that's not in the United States...
We're fair game, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the Tower Bridge is elite. It might be the best bridge. It's the best bridge I've ever seen. So I don't exactly know the structure of it or what it's called, but I mean it's pretty nice. Now it's no Golden Gate. The Golden Gate's the best.
Golden State, obviously, or Golden Gate we're looking at.
I think you're showing me the bracket now, and I believe that is how I have it set up.
Is it now?
Yes.
It is.
So it is the winner of Group C.
You know, now that I look at it, I think I have it set up that way too.
Well, why are we having this discussion then, John?
You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think I wanted to hear a bridge story. And to this point, a little unsatisfied. So if you go ahead and finish the bridge story, it'd be wonderful.
Well, it lights up at night.
Go on.
And it's one of those bridges that goes up and down as ferries, and they're called ferries over there. And I don't know why.
Is that a politically correct term, or?
Well, that's what they're named for their boats. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. No, I'm not trying to say anything.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're understanding it.
And so, it's very versatile. It's like the Daniel Descalso of bridges. It's got everything that it can do anything. It doesn't do anything extremely well, except lighting up. I mean, it's beautiful.
So, in the same way that Daniel Descalso isn't really good at anything other than turning on lights?
Correct. I imagine he's pretty good at turning on lights. It's not a very tough skill to conquer.
I think most adults are pretty good at that. But anyway, so, the next match. I think we've got enough of the Brazil talk. What am I talking about? Brazil talk? I don't know what I'm talking about. The bridge talk. We've got enough bridge talk, and let's move on to some more of the beautiful game. We both have Brazil moving on. I guess that's why I wanted to say Brazil instead of bridges. But I have the matchup being Uruguay and Ivory Coast, and you have it being Uruguay and the good old American boys of Colombia.
That's correct.
Who do you think is going to win between Uruguay and Colombia?
Again, this was my dark horse, as I mentioned when we were discussing the groups. I got to go with Uruguay.
Over the good old Americans.
It was tough for me.
Well, I mean,
now I've knocked out 3 American teams.
I mean, I didn't even have Colombia making it out of the group, so I have no room to speak. But you have Uruguay. I also have Uruguay beating their opponent, though I have a different opponent. But we agree it'll be Brazil versus Uruguay.
That's correct.
In the Elite Eight?
It's the Elite Eight.
Elite Eight, sorry. And then the next matchup, we have a pretty different pick. We both have Bosnia and Herzegovina being in the matchup. I have them playing France. You have them playing Switzerland. Who do you think is going to win?
Switzerland.
Switzerland? You know what?
It's one of those teams that, they're going to win by drawing. That's how they do it. They're going to win on those PKs. Which, by the way, have we discussed PKs yet? I think we got
PK Subban?
No. Penalty kicks, John. You know how matches are decided on the pitch after a game is all square?
Yeah, you play 45 minutes, then you stop for a while, get a little juice break in you, go another 45 minutes, maybe have some stoppage time like Billy Ecuador invented, and then the game ends, right? That's how it ends.
In the group play. We're in the Sweet 16 now.
What happens then? Do they just
They
stop?
They go to penalty kicks
So they play 90 minutes and then they go to penalty kicks?
immediately after the 90 minutes. Yes.
That sounds so exciting.
I know. It's like the shootout in ice hockey, but we won't talk about that because we're talking about the beautiful game.
I mean, I'll be honest. I like iced hockey. I think it's a fun little sport, but it can't compete with the World Cup.
No.
All right. So you're having Switzerland. I would agree that Switzerland would beat Bosnia, though I obviously have France playing Bosnia. I'm picking France. So for the next matchup, we both have the same matchup here. We have the Fatherland in Germany versus Russia. Who do you believe will win this match?
My ancestors' home country.
The Fatherland?
The Fatherland.
The Fatherland. We both have the Fatherland. All right.
That was a pretty easy one.
Don't need to waste more time on this one. All right. So the next matchup, we have a bit of a difference of opinion. You have Spain versus Croatia. I have Spain versus Mexico. But I don't think we disagreed too much on generally what's going to happen in this match.
The last U.S. team gets knocked out. That's not true.
For me,
That is true for you. For me, I still have the good old US of A alive.
this is the end of the United States of America for me, having Mexico be eliminated. Now all I have to root, what am I going to root for? I'm just rooting for an Oasis reunion.
Fatherland?
This is silly. The Fatherland, yes. I got the Fatherland. I have the Oasis reunion. Either one of those I'm fine with. I'd rather the U.S., though, must say. But we both agree that Spain will win that match. Next up, we had a crazy disagreement here. You have Italy versus the Ivory Coast. I have England versus Japan.
Wow, that's completely different, John.
Completely different. And yet they're, in some ways, the same.
Yeah, because I have a European team advancing. I have Italy.
I have a European team advancing. I have Japan defeating England. Japan is from probably the most prosperous part of Europe. I think they're going to beat England because if there's one thing I know about England, they don't do very good in this tournament. You mentioned it yourself.
They don't. I mean, their fans just don't believe it.
This eternal pessimist.
They don't believe in them.
I hear it rains a lot in England. Maybe it's caused by that.
That's a myth.
Is it now?
That is a myth.
Did-
It rains no more there than it rains in the good old US of A.
Does anything fall from the sky? I mean, like, look.
It snows there every now and then.
Okay, so I saw that Mary Poppins, the documentary about the British lady who was like a maid or something. She had an umbrella that she carried around with her, and she used it to fly. Now, do they actually use umbrellas to stop rain, or do English people just use umbrellas to fly?
English people carry around umbrellas more than anybody I've seen. Any country I've seen.
I don't even own an umbrella because I'm an American. I'll just deal with the rain.
So I have to believe that's the truth. That they can fly with them.
Have you seen anybody flying with them?
I did not witness anybody, but it would have been pretty cool because I would have asked for a ride. I mean, that's a once-in-a-lifetime type thing.
That's pretty great. I think you blew it, man.
I did.
I think you should have asked for the ride. Okay. But I have Japan. You have Italy. Next up, we have a bit of a different matchup. I have Argentina versus Switzerland. You have France versus Argentina. Who is going to win?
Lionel Messi
Lionel Messi is...
of Argentina.
That's right. He's the reunion guy with
the guy
Tevez.
that
Yes.
nobody's heard of.
Yes, that's
We gotta expose our listeners to the most underrated players in soccer, and he is one of them.
Yeah, if you ask me, people are getting a little too talky about this David Beckham fella. Guys like Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, as I said, not a fan of him, but quite talented regardless. Guys like Kobe Jones on the U.S. team. A lot of talent out there. Not just David Beckham. Sorry. I'm not here to mince words here. Y'all can live in your little cocoons where you believe that who you know is the best. Not always the case. Often not the case.
Settle down, John. Who do you have in this matchup before you lose it?
I have Argentina. So we both agree. We both agree that Argentina will win this match, even if we disagree on the opponents. Okay. This one, we also disagree on who's going to be in it.
I like mine better because mine has better teams in it.
I like yours too. Because you have Belgium versus the United States. I have Belgium versus the old Cheetah Ronaldo in Portugal. Belgium versus USA, who wins?
The good old US of A. I'm sticking with them.
USA.
USA.
USA. I love it. Good job. I feel bad about it, but I think Portugal. I think Ronaldo.
So what you're saying though is that the team that gets out of USA's group in this spot has a good chance to make it.
I think
so. All we got to do is beat Portugal.
I think the team that finishes second in the group that the United States is in has at least a 1-in-2 chance of winning their first match once they get to the Sweet 16.
Those are pretty good odds.
I'm not going to argue with them. So anyway, now we have our Elite Eights set. In the first match of the Elite Eight, we actually have the same matchup. We have Uruguay versus Brazil. Now, I've been deferring to you most of the time, but I'm going to go ahead and say who I'm picking. I'm going with home field advantage. I'm picking Brazil.
Home pitch.
Home pitch advantage. I am just, oh God, it's been a long day.
Have a tough day at work?
Yeah, I did, and I'll tell you why it was so tough. I had a tough day at work, and I usually don't like to talk about my work life. I spent hours racking over who I was going to pick in this match. And eventually...
Well, your job is to analyze soccer.
Yeah.
So you should have spent a lot of time on this.
And I did. True to my word. I picked Brazil, and I feel confident in that. But I was so bogged down in thinking about that I forgot what the name of the playing surface is, and I called it a field? What's wrong with me? Who calls it a field?
I think Americans do.
Look, Americans, if you want to call it soccer, I cannot legally stop you from calling it soccer. But I will not allow in my country for people to start calling it a field. What is this, like picking flowers or something? No, it is a pitch. And
played in kits.
Yes.
By a squad who are rooted on by supporters.
I wish all Americans could be as refined and as civilized as you. I am so sorry for any way I have wronged you in the past. You are completely correct about all of this.
Meanwhile, I picked Uruguay.
Wow, that is a bombshell. You have Uruguay.
They are my sleeper, and they are gonna make a run in this thing.
Okay, can you please explain in 10 words or less, without using the letter I, why you believe Uruguay will win?
They are good. That answered the question.
I'm just trying to see if there's an I. They are good. And that's less than 10. Good job. All right. Go on from there. We have a little bit of disagreement here on who we believe is going to play in the next match. We both say Germany will play.
The fatherland is strong.
And we both say that Germany will play a different team, though. I say France. You say Switzerland. Who will win, Germany or Switzerland?
The fatherland. They're
They're
just too good.
So even with the Federer factor, you're going with the fatherland.
I know Federer has the footwork, and I know Switzerland are the kings of drawing, but I don't think they draw Germany here. I think Germany wins on the PKs this time.
I'm going with Germany as well. I have the fatherland in the Final Four.
Frozen Four.
Frozen Four, sorry. Stupid. All right. You would think by now I'd be a little bit more in check with my emotions, but soccer and the World Cup does this to me. Okay. So next up, we have a bit of a different matchup. You have Spain, Italy. I have Spain, Japan. Who do you think is going to win?
I got the defending champs.
which is Italy.
No, they lost to Panama in 06.
That-
The defending champs are Spain.
That's right. I'm starting to lose it. Sorry. Okay. So you have Spain beating Italy. I have Spain beating Japan. So, if I'm not mistaken, we both have Germany and Spain in the Frozen Four. We disagree with Brazil and Uruguay.
That's still pretty good, though. We got some. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's see about 3 out of 4.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's a song by that's Springsteen, I think. That's Springsteen.
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. Probably my favorite Pink Floyd song. Speaking of Pink Floyd, we have their homeland of Portugal, or I have their homeland of Portugal playing against Argentina. You have Argentina going against somebody's homeland. That's our homeland.
That'd be our homeland.
All right, so Argentina, USA. You've been USA all the way. You gonna go with them again?
No.
What?
Lionel Messi.
Lionel Messi's good.
I'm a big fan of Lionel.
Lionel Richie. I'm a fan of
him too.
I'm a fan of both, personally. But, okay, we'll go with that. Now, I have a bit of a moral quandary here. I have Argentina versus Portugal. Lionel versus the cheater Ronaldo.
Doesn't sound like a moral quandary to me. It sounds pretty easy.
But the moral quandary is how much to let my personal biases influence my pick. I feel confident in saying this pick. I've excluded all of my previous thoughts, my preconceived notions, my desire to see the former Ronaldo, now Cristiano Ronaldo, acknowledge that he is indeed a Brazilian. However, I'm picking Argentina.
Good pick.
So,
it's 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. I have Brazil, you have Uruguay. Everything else, we are sticking on the same wavelength, buddy. Alright. So, next up, it's the fatherland versus Brazil or Uruguay. You have Uruguay versus Germany. Who are you picking?
Got my sleeper again. I got Uruguay. Fatherland goes down.
Wow. Wow.
You can't go with the homer pick. You got to go with the team that you think's the best.
And I have to say, Uruguay probably the heaviest favorite in this tournament. So, I mean, you're clearly going along the party lines here.
I mean, they've had a pretty easy road so far in this knockout Sweet 16 stage in Colombia and Brazil and Germany. Those are pretty...
Brazil and Germany, as much as I love Germany, as much as I'd love to pick the fatherland against Uruguay, I'll be honest, if Germany had a matchup against Uruguay, I don't think I could pick them.
Uruguay is just too fast for them.
However, I don't have to deal with Uruguay, because I have Germany versus Brazil, and I am going with the fatherland. Brazil may have the home pitch advantage. They may have Anderson, but unless they have Anderson Varejao out there, which we can't really guarantee, gotta go with Germany. Next up, we have the same matchup. Spain versus Argentina. The defending champs versus Lionel.
And I'm going with Lionel in Argentina.
You ready for my pick?
I think I know who it is.
Let me go ahead and quote a different Lionel. Lionel Richie. Hello. Is it Argentina you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in the game. I think Argentina's going to win this game. That's going to take place in 2014 in the World Cup.
I don't think you said that, John.
Maybe we're thinking of a different song. I don't know.
Okay.
He definitely said it. I'll play it for you after the show. I would play it right now on the air, but it's legal issues. I'm not sure it's going to work. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Argentina. So we both have Argentina in the final. I have them against the fatherland. You have them against Uruguay. Who is going to go ahead and win the World Cup?
Uruguay.
Explain yourself.
Well, you see, I don't think they're in a tough group.
Okay.
And I think if they make it out of their group, they have a pretty easy first round in Colombia.
Okay.
And then they got an even easier round in Brazil.
Okay.
And then they got an even easier round in Germany. The fatherland is a little overrated, in my opinion.
When you say over 8, you mean as a squad, not as a country.
As a squad. Yes.
I mean, it's your fatherland
They're
too.
a fantastic country, but as a squadron.
You know, I just thought of something. If Germany's my fatherland and Germany's your fatherland, it's like we're half brothers because we have the same fatherland.
We might be very distant relatives. Have you ever thought about that? People forget that.
I don't think half brothers are that distant.
That's a good point.
Look, I don't think I'm gonna need a kidney, but if I do, I'd be calling you up.
That got a little personal. Let's wait for that off the air, John. Set our kidney needs later.
I was gonna say just let it out in the open, but you know what?
Meanwhile, Spain, Brazil, who you got? Argentina, Brazil. I don't know why I said Spain. You don't even have Brazil. I'm all over the place right now.
Oh, Nick. No, I am going with Germany versus Argentina. Fatherland versus the Oasis reunion. It's a tough one for me. It is. I think these are two very.
You know, before you answer, I don't want to criticize your picks here. I don't want to feel like I'm getting in this, but
Then don't.
But I think you went a little biased there with the Oasis versus the fatherland.
Look, it just worked out that way, okay? You said it yourself. Lionel Messi, one of the best players in the world. You take David Beckham out of the discussion.
That people don't know about. You gotta remember that.
Well, if people don't know about him, that includes the other teams.
Yeah, they probably aren't scouting him very.
Exactly. Yeah. See, it may look like bias because it's working out nicely and conveniently for me, but sometimes I get a little good luck in my life too. Or did you forget that? Okay, look. Okay, sorry. We're almost done here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back and focused. I am gonna go ahead and say that the World Cup champions of 2014 will be Argentina. I am picking Argentina. You are picking Uruguay. We have different champions.
Both those teams are blue. We do agree on that.
Yes, I agree with
and
that.
That's the important thing here.
You know, teams with blue always win the World Cup. You look at Spain's national flag and you see, you know what, I think the Blues are going to go ahead and get this victory. Blues are well known for getting victories in sports in which goals are scored, and it's going to continue here.
You're damn right.
All right. It's a good ep, I think. You like that ep?
That was fun.
It was fun? All right. You know what? We went through a lot. It was a tough time. I don't know how long that episode went. I would say it went about 5 or 6 days. I don't know.
Probably about 1% of the amount of time that England's been around. Which we've discussed. England's been around a while.
Does your family even know where you are right now? Or they might be worried. Check your phone. See if you have any missed calls or anybody texting. Oh, God, Nick, where are you?
No, I don't have any of that.
Wow.
I know.
I have a lot of people asking where I am, and I'm at my home, so I don't know what's going on with you. Like, you weren't checking on you. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. And you know what, Nick? We had our disagreements, but I think also we had a lot of fun. This is a good start for the Bridges podcast. Yet to be officially titled, but it's going to be terrific. Limited run, only a few 100,000 episodes, but it's going to be good. And I hope everybody who is listening will subscribe to that once that gets up and running. Hope everybody will follow myself, John JF125, and Nick FW Blues fan, Twitter